Toxic workplace culture, we've all been there. You've been there. I've been there. It's an everyday occurrence. Now, it's not in every single company, but the thing is that it's in most workplaces. So I'm going to give you a scenario. So you've got this great new hire. 3 weeks in, the spark's gone, and it's almost like someone just dimmed the light switch. It's not performance, but it's really something else. It's something that's just going on in the water, something going on in the environment. It's somebody that's already on that team, been there longer, maybe from the beginning, maybe just someone that just hangs out there and just really giving them a really hard time, giving them the cold shoulder. It's something that you can particularly screenshot. It's not a Teams message. It's not text messaging. It's not outright bullying. It's just that additional pressure, and it's that toxic workplace culture that makes them feel that they just don't belong. Now, the number one reason people change jobs these days is culture, and that applies across the board. Every industry, it's culture. The number one complaint is culture. So when you think about it, best thing you can do is find great ways to be able to improve on that. If you notice it, you'll handle it like a pro and you'll come out on top. As an owner, if you do nothing, you're going to damage every single person in your company. So here's the thing. As an owner, this is why you miss it. You miss these things because you're looking, and by the way, owner, manager, no matter what you're doing in the company, you're trained to look for performance. And performance could mean an entire array of things, but things that we can track and measure. You're looking for KPIs. You're looking for sales numbers. You're looking for SLA times. You're looking for customer feedback. All of those things that you can touch and measure, and that's your number one focus. Client writes in, they're upset about something. You reach out to the person that handled that case and say, hey, what happened here? But what you're not looking for is you're not actually looking for vibe. You're not looking for social dynamics. You're not looking at what happens during lunch breaks, what happens during those quiet 10-minute breaks that people take and kind of go on the outside. I heard a story in an environment that I often work with, and somebody that I know, she was saying that her boss and colleague just she felt excluded from that group. She went and had lunch in a corner on her own and just felt like, she didn't belong and just felt excluded, and that there was a lot of cattiness and bullshit, and that, toxic workplace culture was just going on there. And the challenge with that is that confronting the new hire is so much easier because the new hire is eager. They want to fit in. They want to move. They want to hit the standards. They want to feel like they belong. So as a manager, as an owner, it actually costs you nothing to be able to do that. They have no leverage. So they can't say, well, I've been here for a year. They're brand new. So it's so much easier to be able to go up to them and say, hey, listen, this is what I'm noticing. These are the patterns. This is what I want to fix. This is what I want to improve on. Now, confronting the employee that's been there for a long time, that actually costs you something because they can cause disruptions. They can start, they already have social ties that are created. Maybe sometimes they're family. I had a case like that where I had a team and it's a family-based team. A new employee comes on and sure enough, that employee loses the spark. Why? Because team member starts giving them the cold shoulder, really unpleasant, giving them a really hard time for absolutely no reason. Why? Because you're bringing someone in from the outside, and that is always just perceived as a threat. And that's just an opportunity to be able to go up there and say, oh, you know what? You're not one of us. And that's where it becomes really difficult. So when you think about it, all of these people that have been there before, they already have leverage. They already have performance standards. They're already doing things. So somebody who has a great sales record, somebody who does great work for your company, they're not the people that as an owner that you're going to want to approach comfortably because you're like, oh, you know what? They create so much leverage and so much space for me that if they ever leave, I'm concerned about their leaving. So I'd rather they do the work no matter what type of culture they create within the organization. So owners are instead going to manage they're going to manage the relationship instead of running the business. So what they're going to do is they're going to focus on the person that just came in, and they're just going to say, you know what? I think they're just going through something personal. They're going to move it up to experience, and they're going to say, you know what? They're going to figure it out no matter what they're doing. So now this kind of avoidance, by the way, That's not the typical leak that you find in a business. It is one of the leaks, but there are a lot of other leaks that you'll find in a business. I have a simulator that you can go on. Link is down below in the comments. Go take a look at the link. It'll take you about 10 minutes. You'll identify opportunities where you can be leaking profits directly in your business, not chasing additional revenue. 12 areas, 10 minutes, link is below. Go check it out. If you have any additional questions, hit me up. I'd be more than happy to help you. And it's super worth it. By the way, if you've been avoiding to look at your business from a different lens, it's actually super confidential and gives you an opportunity to look at things in a different way. So let me go back to this for a minute. If you were thinking about this and you were looking at this workplace culture, don't wait for proof, because I want you to put yourself in this spot of discomfort. Maintaining harmony in the workplace, by the way, is completely impossible because people have mood swings, people get frustrated, people have good days and bad days, and realistically, you are spending more time with your colleagues in the workplace than you are with anyone else. Now, I want you to imagine if you're going to address it and you're going to let it fester. What if it was your child? And it was your child that is the new hire coming into the company, and you have one of your employees that is giving them the cold shoulder, that is treating them like crap. Would you let it go on, or would you address it? So that's the question I often ask, and I say, would you just really let that go? Most people, typically, they would answer no. So the gap between the answer and what you actually tolerate, that is the real diagnostic. So how do you actually fix it? Best thing to do is to name it directly. Typically, when somebody gives somebody the cold shoulder and they don't know them from Adam, there's something going on inside. It's an insecurity. It's a discomfort. It's that they're coming for my job mentality. And in a lot of cases, it's usually not the case. And competition, by the way, super cool with that. It's great to have competition. And especially when you're working with salespeople are super competitive. So it's a great idea to be able to create competition and allow people to compete within the organization. Great idea. So I would name the behavior and I would sit down with them, and I wouldn't attack them, but I would definitely ask them, hey, what's going on? Just curious. Noticing this. Would love to know what your feelings are. That's the first thing. If it's family, it becomes a little bit more complicated and you have to plan strategically around it. The other thing is that you have to set the standard once. It applies to everybody across the board. Nobody's above the standards, because the standards that you're willing to tolerate are where you hold the line. When you have kids, the one thing that happens so often is what you do for one, you have to do for the other. And I do this, for example, all the time. It happens in my household. I give a kid 3 M&Ms and I give another one 4, and the one that got 3 always comes to me and says, why did you give me 3 and the other one got 4? So the way you hold the line and the way you hold standards is really, really important. And when you set a standard in your company that somebody gets preferential treatment over somebody else, that itself is a standard. So it's really important to be able to hold that. The other recommendation is I always recommend that departments that mesh well tend to perform better. So the best thing to do is when you're hiring somebody new, do a group interview. It's one of the best ways that you could bring people together. It's one of the best ways that you can connect people and see how they connect, see how they mesh, see what their relationship is. So now the group interview, the way that works is you would actually prepare every single person in the department and you would set up a lunch. You're not part of it. And what you would do is you would prepare the candidate in advance and you would let them know and say, hey, as part of our interview process, the number one most important thing to us is culture. We want to make sure that you are comfortable and you feel confident with the people that you are going to be working with side by side every day. And we also want to make sure that our people are comfortable with anyone new coming into our environment. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up a group interview. We'd love for you to come in for half an hour, 45 minutes. It is not an interrogation. You are not sitting at the head of the table and everybody's shooting questions at you. But we want you guys to go out for lunch. We want you guys to hang out for a little bit. We'll get you some coffee, donuts, and just build relationships, develop relationships. And I'd love for you to be able to give me some feedback on how you felt, just some honest feedback on anybody that you feel might be concerning to you. And the same thing on the team. What you're going to notice right away is if there are any red flags, you are going to notice them immediately from the candidate. Number one, because if your candidate gets along with everyone, that's great. And again, you're not looking for a candidate that is so perfect that they get along with everyone and they're like, oh my God, everybody's wonderful. This is total joy and harmony. Because life doesn't work that way. But what you are looking for is you are looking for somebody that is able to manage different personalities and can definitely mesh well with people that sometimes are a little bit more difficult. And in a perfect world, you're looking for, from your team members, you're looking for the existing people that are on your team, that if they don't mesh well together, that it's not that they make life difficult for them, it's just that they don't care. And that's where the gold is going to be. If they don't care about them, then that's a win. You just don't want somebody outright hating on them. That's what you can do here. So at the end of the day, the employee wanted to stay because someone finally said something. And so you could be empowered as a business owner to say something, to step in, not be afraid, hold the standards because you advocate for each and every one of your employees. And at the end of the day, tenure should not be the thing that makes you advocate for one employee over another. Sales should not make behavior excusable. Performance should not make behavior excusable, because then that dictates your culture. And big red flag is whenever we hear, oh, we're like one big family, and then you step in and you want to run the hell away from a business like that, it's often because there's a toxic work culture that's going on in that business. And so you as an owner are empowered to really make employees feel that they're valued, that they're appreciated, and that there isn't any single person in the company that is above the standards, that is above the policy, and that does get preferential or special treatment. So hiring well protects you as a business owner, it protects your standards, and it makes people also feel like they themselves are in a position that they've earned and that they've deserved, but not that they're invincible. Because the last thing you ever want is someone in a position that they feel that they cannot lose.